All right, Art, how do you kind of go about assessing the 2019 season when there were so many injuries and just various things that don't usually happen in a football season?
Well, there's no doubt it was a crazy season, an unusual season from an injury standpoint. We wound up having a starting quarterback who started out the year as making at least the first squad as a rookie tryout, and so it was it was an unusual year, and I think hard to assess. But I think bottom line was I was proud of the way the guys hung in there and kept it alive, and the way Coach Tomlin kept them focused on believing in themselves through thick and thin. And so it's too bad we just couldn't finish the job there the last couple weeks.
With all that being said, you mentioned Coach Tomlin. How do you go and evaluate the job that he did because of all these crazy things that did happen?
Well, it is a hard season to evaluate because of all the changes and guys in and out, and pulling guys off practice squads, and so it's hard to assess. But again, the bottom line was through all of that, we had a chance to be in the playoffs, and so it was just too bad we couldn't finish the job there the last couple weeks.
In terms of what you would like to see happen in 2020 to get back to the playoffs, what are some things you want to see the team improve on?
Well, I think stability at the quarterback position would help. So we're looking forward to having Ben back, and hopefully he'll have a successful off season with his rehab. And then there's always a lot of places that you need to improve, and I'd like to see us be more consistent in the running game and things like that. But I'm sure every position coach would tell you there are things they can improve on up there, and so that's what we've got to do.
What do you guys have to do in terms of trying to look big picture with Ben Roethlisberger's injury, the rehab, and maybe not being 100% certain when he will be ready?
Yeah, it's going to be something we'll have to monitor as the offseason goes on. So far, all the feedback we're getting is good, and I know Ben feels good about where he is, but he's still early in the process, so we'll monitor that and see how it goes. But at this point, we're staying optimistic, and I think he's optimistic.
Kevin Colbert's contract is set to expire soon. What is the plan in terms of maybe keeping him with the Steelers a little bit longer, if that's something you guys want and that Kevin wants?
Well, I'm optimistic that Kevin will be back next season and next year, and we'll get to that here sometime soon, I hope. But I am optimistic that Kevin will continue with us beyond this draft.
At this time last year, you were talking a lot about the defense and the need to create more turnovers. You got your wish this year. #1 in sacks, #1 in creating turnovers. Was it the additions of Micah Fitzpatrick and Devin Bush, Steve Nelson, or was it just kind of that and the unit coming together for them to do so well this season in your eyes?
Yeah, well, we certainly had some good additions of players that came in and I think made a difference early on, and you mentioned Steve Nelson and Minka helped us, and then Devin Bush, I think, had a good rookie year, and so looking forward to him taking that next step next year. Guys that were obviously returning starters, Bud had a good year, TJ had a good year, Cam had a good year, and so you can kind of go down the list. Joe Hayden is now going to the Pro Bowl, so lots of good things happen with that defense, and we're optimistic about what they can do in the future.
Everyone with the Steelers was optimistic that Bud Dupree would be able to show us this year what he was able to do. I think the stats speak for itself. What do you do to try to keep Bud in Pittsburgh?
We're going to do what we can do, and again, I think I'm optimistic about keeping Bud around. We'll work on that and work with him, and I feel good about him being on the team next year. He and TJ have become quite a combination, a tough combination for opposing teams to deal with, and so we got to keep those guys together.
In terms of Ryan Shazier, what kind of happens with his role with the team moving forward? Somebody that we see around here pretty much every single day still.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan is unbelievable the way he continues to work and his goals, and so we'll be working with Ryan over the next few weeks and months to decide where he wants to go and what his role will be going forward.
It was announced today, a lot of big news. Matt Canada is coming to the Steelers to be the quarterback's coach. Why was it necessary to bring somebody else in to take over that position so Randy wasn't doing two?
You know, we have a young quarterback. We'll probably wind up with more than one young quarterback on the roster, but obviously Mason is developing, and I think Coach felt like he knew Matt Canada from being down the hall here, and felt good about him joining the team, and so we think he can be a good addition and help that room out.
Some of the more good news, as I was saying, Donnie Shell, we found out today, also heading to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I know anybody you talk about from those 4 Super Bowls, I've heard you say it, very long overdue. What does it mean to the Steelers organization that he's now officially going in?
Yeah, it's really excited to see Donnie finally make it. Definitely long overdue, and I think he was hurt by the fact that he played on a team with so many Hall of Famers. And when you look at just all of his statistics, he deserves to be in there. And was as someone who had the good fortune of watching him play in those days, just a great player and a great person. And so it's really an exciting time to see both he and Coach Cowher going in, and hopefully a couple more to come.
Should we pack our bags for that Hall of Fame game in Canton?
Well, I think there's a pretty good chance that we may be playing in Canton this summer, and that'll make it a fun weekend. I think if everything goes the way we're kind of hoping here the next couple weeks with Troy and Allen, they may have to expand the stadium up there to hold all the Steeler fans that are going to come up.
On a more serious note, in terms of the latest round of NFL head coaching hirings, the interview process, a lot has been brought up about the Rooney Rule. Does the NFL have a problem in terms of bringing in more minority candidates to interview and to get to that kind of level in terms of coaching?
We on the diversity committee, which I'm on now, I think we have work to do to really look at the process and try to make sure that minority candidates are getting the appropriate opportunities and the appropriate interviews. When the Rooney Rule was passed back in 2003, we saw a period of time where we had a progress in terms of head coaching candidates and minority individuals becoming head coaches in the league. And then in the last several years, we've seen that trend reverse, and so. I think we need to look at what's happening and what can we do different, what can we do to improve the situation. But we're not where we need to be or want to be as a league, and I think we need to figure out how we do better.
All right, I want to end on a positive and a fun note. Everybody wants to know, Hard Knocks, have you heard any news? I know Coach Tomlin said we would not be volunteering to take part.
No, we won't be volunteering, so we'll see. We haven't heard anything yet, and not even sure when that news comes out, so we'll certainly let everybody know as soon as we hear anything. But so far, it's no news is good news.
If indeed it does happen, who do you think NFL film cameras would gravitate towards?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm sure they'll have a few that they'll want to be focused in on, and Ben's story and him coming back from an injury, I'm sure will be, one of the plot lines, so to speak. But we'll have to grin and bear it if we get selected.
Okay, thank you, Art, for your time.
All right, thanks, Missy.